Hello, welcome to Professor Skye's Music Review, the only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor a little bit after coming back from the gym and putting on his Halloween costume. So for you, my sweatshirts, you may know I don't usually wear glasses and I don't usually wear long sleeve shirts, but I thought I would wear my Halloween costume for this episode because Halloween was a couple days ago. Doesn't quite work. What am I dressed up as? I'll tell you at the end of the episode, although there are a couple subtle clues on screen right now. So today I'm going to be reviewing an album by Cate and Bradford Cox. It's called Myths 004. Now, whenever I see that an album is going to be a man and a woman making music together, I immediately, the hair on the back of my neck goes up in a bad way. I'm not going to like this. I really associate a lot of that kind of music with sort of like cutesy, will they, won't they. I really, sort of like the main musical touch point I have for that is She and Him with M. Ward and Zooey Deschanel. And that's just a great example of the kind of music I just despise. I can't listen to it. I just find it way too cutesy, way too much. Like, do they have a crush on each other? What kind of music are they going to make? Now, in general, I reject Zooey Deschanel in all of her forms. So that might be a part of it. So when I came to this record, I came to it with a fair amount of suspicion. Also, with the last name like Le Bon, I thought maybe she was like related to the lead singer of Duran Duran. So these are the things that I had in mind. But I started listening to it and I liked it. I actually liked it a lot right away. As you know, I don't review things I don't like. Bad reviews are boring reviews, if you ask me. So here I am, and I'm listening to the music. I decided to look it up, and it turns out that the one woman is Cate Le Bon, or Cate Le Bon. I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce it. She's from Wales, so we got the Mekons and we got her. Those are two pretty good musicians from Wales. And then this other guy, Bradford Cox, is a member of Deer Hunter. Now, Deer Hunter falls as one of the great victims of what I just came up with today as the mid-20s music death. I've talked about this before, but I've never given it this cool name, M2MD. So what is M2MD? What is the mid-20s music death? It's the point in your early 20s, often after you get out of college if you go to college, but between the age of like 23 and 28, where at some point music dies, your beliefs fossilize, you get rigid and stiff, and you believe that nothing that is new can be good, and everything that is old is all that is good, and that's essentially where you get stuck. That's how you get stuck with classic rock radio, and that's why Nirvana is being played next to the Doors. Okay? And just these people's minds get stuck in a certain time, and that's that. So Deer Hunter was this group that came out in the early 2000s. I don't really remember when. And I remember listening to them once 20 years ago and being like, I don't like it. And so because of that, I'm sure there's a whole wealth of great music that I've been ignoring in my ignorance, in my lack of flexibility. Really, it's the lack of youth. It's a lack of a youthful thought of thinking. Sorry, it's really weird seeing myself with glasses. When you see the Halloween costume, you'll see why I did it this way. So it's great. And this now makes me want to go back and listen to Deer Hunter because both of these singers they're just great. This is a very quick album, 25 minutes, same length as Jesus is King. And it's just a really enjoyable record. I'll sort of describe it musically first. Lots of very clean guitars, like there's tons of guitars on this record, but there's no power chords to be found anywhere. It'll be like maybe 3 strings played at the same time or the most, like bling. A lot of discord, a lot of sort of incidental notes, a lot of actually detuned moments as well. Kind of matched with crashing pianos and like music box sounds, and it has like, I don't know, I think of a little bit almost like television, sort of like in that kind of post-punk sound, where you have like clean guitars being played well, but not for just blah guitar, right? Like there's no power in this music, but it's not weak music. One thing I really enjoy that leads to that feeling and what makes it such a rich album for me is the drumming. The drumming is like kind of single-handed drumming. Like I'm pretty sure you could play almost everything that is played on this whole album with one hand, leaving each note kind of individual. The best example of this is Devo and their cover of Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones. That's a beat you can play entirely with one hand. It takes a lot of skill and effort. And even actually Charlie Watts himself is sort of the king of that kind of drum beat, where instead of it being do-do-ka-do, it's do-do-ka-do. And just that syncopated emptiness, that sound that comes in, leads for excellent drumming. And it fits really well with this guitar work. And then it's mixed with the singing. And the male singing is not as much of it, but it's very good. Like on the first song, it's called Canto. He just keeps on saying your eyes, over and over again. It's very catchy. A lot of the stuff on this album is catchy, but it's catchy with these loose, discordant guitars, which is really nice. This first track, Canto, is a good example of their production, where, again, something I really like is complicated production or well-layered, textured production that goes somewhere. This song moves. It starts somewhere, it ends somewhere else with this kind of piano, and I'd say that's how the whole album goes. It all kind of moves. I think of it as a 6-song album. It has 7 tracks, but one of them is this little short thing. Basically, you got 2 songs with singing, 2 instrumental tracks, and then 2 songs with vocals as well. So the sort of first bit here is then the next bit is called Secretary. And this is great. This has got the very strange voice of Cate Lebon. Cate Lebon? How would I pronounce that in Welsh? Cate Lebon? I don't know. That was not a good Welsh impersonation. I apologize to the people of Wales. But it's a really nice song because it's sort of like putting herself in the mind of a secretary. What would a secretary feel? What would a secretary think? But what's nice is he's kind of like a female Bartleby. Okay, the Herman Melville story, where the guy just says, I would prefer not to, and he stops. He refuses to do any of his office work that he's asked to do, and he just basically just stops, right? I think that this is sort of like that, in the way that you have this sympathy for this character, this secretary, who with this very beautiful, strange voice that Cate LeBon has, and like she talks about like, can I put you on hold? And it recontextualizes being put on hold from being like an inconvenience for the person who's calling to a form of relaxation and rest and respite for the person on the other side. It's all about putting one through. It's like taking all of the vocabulary of office work and breaking it down and reconstructing it to a sort of sad point where you feel empathy for this woman who's in this very tough job and is unhappy. It's good music. It's good lyrics. It's good music. And it's not the song I'm going to play. I'm going to be playing the last track. But really, listening to these first 2 tracks, you'll get a good idea of what it is. And then there's... at the end of this song, there's this almost like little poetic break where she talks about mascara splashed across the plains, and then it ends with, why are my eyes so bare to the light? I love little poetic. When poetry makes its way into rock music, and it's not intrusive, it's impressive. And that's what I would say is in this case. Then the 2 instrumental tracks, Companion in Misfortune, kind of a descending instrumental, which I feel like it's setting up the next one, Constance, which is spectacular. I had to listen to this one a couple times to really appreciate it. The first part is this it has like keyboards and a drum machine that goes in with the real drums, and it's okay, and it's repeated tons. And then there's the B part, and the B part is almost like an instrumental you would hear sampled in a rap song. It's just this nice, sweeping instrumental break. And then they alternate between the 2 parts. It's just excellent. Then the next track is that very short 28-second song with a little dog bark. I get the sense that they were recording and they liked this song, but they didn't want to put it in because it's not quite strong enough. So they just said, okay, 28 seconds of it. 28 seconds. Sorry, I never wore glasses before. It's very intoxicating. And then Fireman. And this is just some great production. I mean, I want to say it's like Velvet Underground because they're separating things into different channels while doing different things at once. But it's not really like Velvet Underground. I just said that. I don't know why I said it if I'm going to contradict it immediately. Hey, who cares, right? I got 450-ish subscribers now. People are liking my style. I can chill out. I can get overconfident and dress like this on my show. So in this song, Fireman, it's sort of like a follow-up to the track Secretary, because it's talking about somebody's living. But it's very jarring because on the left ear, you have this person talking. I don't know if it's Bradford Cox imitating a fireman or if it's actually an excerpt from a fireman talking. And he's talking about like his experiences as a fireman. And then that was in the right channel. Yeah. And the left channel, actually on both channels, is the woman singing. And she's just singing about being a fireman, about putting out fires. And so on the one hand, you have this really catchy song. Not really clear what it's about. It might be about global warming. I hope not. But it might be. Or it might just be in general about the job of a fireman and the stresses of a fireman. And then the other channel, you have this person talking about a fire that happened in Christmas Eve and all the people died and the children would never open up their gifts. But he found a dog and that's what he remembers. Very unpleasant, but also enjoyable to listen to. I suggest listening to that twice. First, just listen to the song. That'll naturally bring you to Cate's singing. And then listen to it a second time, just listening for the narrative as it's spun by the firemen. And then we get to the last track. Oh no, wait, that little barking track is in between firemen and the last track. I was wrong. Okay. The last track is What Is She Wearing? Now, you know me. I'm a French professor. So I love anything French. I don't love anything French, but I want to pay attention to things that are good in French. I believe this is a Welsh woman imitating a French accent the entire time. Maybe it's an actual French woman. There's one point where she says, like I previously stated, and she said it in a way that does not sound the way a French person would say it. But in general, it does sound like a genuine French woman speaking English. What makes this beautiful is that if you spend enough time interacting with French women who are speaking English, there are certain phrases that they repeat quite often. And one of them is, that is not so nice. I don't know why that sort of formation comes into their mind in English. It doesn't echo anything I can think of in French. So in this whole song, it's this great, and you'll hear it, super discordant guitars on both channels. The whole beginning has no drums, and the guitars sound untuned, but it's not just noise, okay? It's kind of like maybe like Sonic Youth, like that kind of discord, right? Like not complete discord. But she tells all these stories, and it's kind of comical. The whole album is a little bit comical. But this one is very much about people aren't holding doors, that's not so nice. She has to buy a plastic bag at the grocery store. That's not so nice. But then it ends with this whole story about her going out and wearing a t-shirt that's not so nice. And then having a sweatshirt over and having to take it off. And then being upset about this shirt. And then it goes into this whole thing about how she's going to be judged for wearing this shirt. And how much she doesn't like it. The judgment of others. Until finally it ends with her talking about the t-shirt. And it's clear that what she's wearing is a Nike t-shirt. Because she keeps on saying, just do it. I don't want to do it. Okay, so it's kind of actually like that Kim Gordon record, that song about cookie butter, where you get the sense of sort of alienation from the consumer process, like the feeling that you get sometimes when you look at a consumer good and you just break it down into its individual elements and it doesn't make sense. Like, why am I wearing a shirt that says just do it? What does it mean that I'm wearing that shirt, right? The kind of weird consumer existentialist nausea that might come over you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you just a little bit of it here, and then I'll reveal my Halloween costume, for those of you that can't figure it out. I'm going to play you the bit of What Is She Wearing, where I'm just going to play the end of the part before the drums come in. So she's describing walking through the village, getting a croissant, and having all these people comment on her. And then just the beginning of the bit with the drums, so you get a sense of the full musical feeling. Okay, here's What Is She Wearing by Cate and Bradford Cox.
With a terrible t-shirt on, and I can hear all my neighbors telling each other, that's not that nice. Well, it's not my fault. The weather played a cruel trick on me, and now I'm here. Oh no, what is she wearing? She's coming out dressed like a stupid girl. Oh no, why is she wearing a t-shirt that looks like she's stupid? Oh no, what is she wearing? She's come out.
That's great. I hope I didn't have to cut that down for copyright purposes. I might have. Maybe I jumped back in. So there you go. There is my album review for Myths 004. It's really nice. It's a very quick listen. I don't know what my 3-word review is going to be. I don't know, idiosyncratic or dissonant and enjoyable. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. I don't need to figure that out now. So for my Halloween costume, it is tied in to Beetlejuice. This is my this is the one I had as a kid. Let's hear it talk. One more. I don't know. So I went as. See, here you go. You ready? Right? So that's Adam Maitland from Beetlejuice. There you go. Whew. All right. Well, until next time, for young Adam Baldwin, for Michael Keaton, and for the world's greatest chocolate bar with no chocolate, the Zagnut Bar. Want a bite? There's the camera.